Hi everyone, good afternoon. Today I'm going to talk to you about religious studies in Western and other universities. This is primarily in Western universities, of course, but not necessarily the case because this case holds good for other universities also, which are not the West. But given the fact that Western universities is primarily centered around the West, with others slavishly following suit and slavishly following their paradigms. The paradigms or their concepts set forth and put forward by them without any second thought or secondary consideration. It stands to reason that we must focus primarily on Western universities. History of universities, of course, is quite checkered and varied. Schools or scribes existed in Mesopotamia and ancient Egypt also. In ancient India, we had some center of learning in Taxila and Nalanda also in the subcontinent. Let us also fast forward to the history of Western universities. The university system in the West began to be gestated and birthed after the death of the Christ, after 10 centuries after the death of Christ, and modern universities were instituted this time in the Western Hemisphere. Of course, there were centers in learning in Greece. Greece was ancient Greece was a renowned center for intellectualism, and they played a major role in laying the foundation for modern learning and schools of thought. Original medieval universities also stemmed from early medieval Catholic schools, and these were established to promote, nurture, and foster critical investigation, thinking, and research, scientific investigation, etc. They also focused on the training of students, the improvement of different aspects of society, etc. The earliest Western universities, the institution that can be called a university in the truest sense of the term, was a famous medical school that existed in Salerno, in Italy in the 9th century AD. And this university is currently located in Fisciano and Barosini, both are in Italy. Salerno Scuola Medica Salernitana was the most important medical school in Europe between the 10th and 13th centuries, and it attracted students and people, and scholars from all over the continent, namely Europe. Okay, another university, early university in the West, was founded at Bologna in Italy in the year 1088. This university is now known as Mother of all universities. The University of Paris was founded between 1150 and 1170 and soon began to be renowned for its excellence. Sometime later, the University of Salerno merged with the University of Naples, which was another preeminent university in Europe. In 1218, King Alfonso IX founded the University of Salamanca, which was another early and noteworthy university. The University of Naples Federico II is a public research university in Naples, in Italy. As this was established in the year 1224 and named after its founder Frederick II, and is one of the oldest public, secular, and state-funded universities in the West, and among the 10 oldest in the world. The earliest universities in the West provide the blueprint and template for other universities in different parts of Europe also. However, learning in this era was generally blighted by the Dark Ages and medievalism, which is known as the Dark Ages because there's a joke which says that it's full of nights. That is why it's a dark age. Things, however, began to look up slowly and gradually after the Renaissance or Enlightenment, the age of exploration and the discovery of the New World. The Industrial Revolution too propelled Europe to the center stage of world economic activity, and slowly, even though the world's oldest civilizations were not Europe based, gradually Europe became a fulcrum and epicenter for much of scholarly and scientific activity. Okay, these earlier universities were known as universitates or university guilds also. During the case of the course of the 19th and 20th century, Europe University greatly focused on science and research. So there was an escalation and an evolution of scientific thought, and large amount of emphasis began to be placed on scientific research and critical thinking, scrutiny, analysis, etc., which is still lacking in Indian universities, unfortunately, though we must catch up. These were soon joined in the ranks by American universities such as Harvard University and Stanford University. The United States, after Europe, became a epicenter for scientific activity. The French term École Polytechnique was established in the year 1794 by Gaspard Monge during the French Revolution. It became a military academy under the aegis of Napoleon in 1804. The German universities based on Humboldtian model was established by Wilhelm von Humboldt and based on Friedrich Schleiermacher's general ideas and principles. Okay, and science also began to be widely accepted, promoted in these universities. Universities were also established in colonies, and the University of Madras and University of Bombay, University of Calcutta also were established in the 1800s, or in the middle of the 19th century. Religion played in a preeminent role in many universities, though it was stranglehold and slowly declined. and scientific knowledge expanded also and replaced religion and religious based approaches. New discoveries were made, and ancient Greek knowledge and wisdom were also rediscovered. And ancient knowledge was corroborated, recast, revived wherever necessary. Therefore, the quest of knowledge, truth, and scientific wisdom became central to all Western universities in due course. Liberal arts, grammar, logic, and rhetoric in 90s, including astronomy, arithmetic, and geometry, were also taught and imparted to students systematically and cognitively also. Okay, this provided the pivot upon which economic and technological growth of the region rested. The term religion, as we understand it today, refers to a wide range of socio-cultural systems, which includes belief, morals, ethics, religious practice, thought worlds, worldviews, holy texts and scriptures, sanctified body, institutions, etc. The term religion can be further traced back to the term Greek word Thraciaca, and this was used by Greek scholars such as Herodotus and Jewish Roman thinker Josephus, and also loosely refers to religion. I'm saying, okay. And this term again is derived from the Latin word religio, according to the Roman statesman and philosopher Cicero, who lived in the second century after Christ, and several modern scholars, Tom Harper, Joseph Campbell. The term religio comes from the term religare, which means again and to read. Okay, so which means to go or choose and consider carefully. And many different religions have existed, and different types of religions. Some don't even believe in the existence of our idea of a god, though most religions believe in a god or a supernatural entity. There are many different types of religions, and each has to be understood in their own perspective. Religion has been known in a wide variety of geographical context, situations, etc. Many anthropologists have specialized in the study of religion. Taylor, Max Weber, Nietzsche, Victor Turner, Sigmund Freud, etc. Or Sigmund Freud, etc. They have different perspectives of religion. As a matter of fact, Karl Marx and others are superfluous and unnecessary. Anthropology and religion, sociology of religion, economics and economic studies of religion are also widely used nowadays, are followed. Therefore, religion has played a major part, and religion plays important social, cultural, economic, political, and personal roles. Marxists have wished to say this cannot happen. Okay, and for example, Stephen T. Asma states that religion can provide direct access to an emotional life in ways that science cannot. Okay, we understand. For example, the human brain is a strange amalgam of different functions. It has an ancient reptilian brain, which is the oldest. Okay, so it does not necessarily behave rationally always. Okay, religion is maybe incompatible with the rational brain, but it nourishes the emotional brain because it calms people, soothes them, and assuages their fear. According to leading neuroscientists like Jack Panksepp, Portuguese neuroscientist Antonio Damasio, and American neuroscientist Kent Berger, and neuropsychologists like Mark Sams, our minds are not primarily motivated by logical compulsions, etc., but by non-logical and irrational compulsions as well. Religious studies refer to scientific study of religion from an anthropological and sociological perspective, and these include the analysis of religious practices, ideas, doctrines from an objective, empirical, rational, historical, analytical, and cross-cultural perspectives. Religious studies employ a wide range of academic disciplines and methodologies on their form, and as such may include diverse fields of scrutiny and philosophy, anthropology, psychology, sociology, history, science, sociology, anthropology of religion, etc. Different scholars have adopted different approaches, tools, techniques, etc. Some of them have tried to defend religion, while others have uh, tried to explain its content from history. Therefore, analytical approach is required. A historical, we have talking about spoken about deep historical analysis. Historically sensitive approach has to be adopted, and we need to have a highly rational, objective, and non-partisan approach. Okay, some scholars, however, adopt overly unfavorable or critical approaches to religions, etc. Okay, and some religious texts are pretty old. For example, the Rig Veda is believed to have been compiled some 3,500 years ago. Atharveda, Samaveda, and Yajurveda followed it. The Upanishads were compiled some 3,000 years ago. An interest in the study of religion for academic purposes, the scholarly analysis dates back to the time of the geographer and Greek historian Hecataeus of Miletius, and he wrote many works on genealogies and mythographies, etc. Historian and geographer Herodotus. He also contributed to the study of kings and battles, etc. Greeks themselves were highly polytheistic and believed in the existence of many gods. However, slowly monotheism began to replace, and the religions such as Christianity and Islam took. Islam is also, of course, monotheistic. It's not polytheistic. Okay, and around the same time, Peter the Venerable studied Islam and translated the Quran into Latin. Egyptian religion also was formally studied at that time by many Egyptologists, and their funerary practices, cults, and oracles were examined in great detail. Folklores and mythologies were also formally studied. Many universities offer formal specializations in them. Rites of passage and cumulative too were studied by Victor Turner and others. Okay, I've written about all these in depth because I have studied many ethnographic works, and I've specialized in ethnography in my master's in anthropology also in New Delhi. Okay, religious studies, however, in the modern sense of the term, canonical modern sense of the term, relate only to originated only in mid 19th century Europe, riding piggyback on scholarly, theological, historical analysis, Bible and other Christian scriptures. Religious studies are therefore steeped in Western intellectualism and the rise of the West in many facets of scientific activity. At the same time, Hindu and Buddhist sacred texts were also being translated into European languages. These texts were hitherto seen as being exotic, okay, and Western scholars and researchers and scientists were interested in them, enamored with them. Many scholars of this epoch included the Friedrich Max Müller and Cornelis Petrus Thiel. These scholars were known as Orientalists. Max Miller also was an Indologist, though he never set foot on Indian soil. Okay, he however laid the foundation for modern Indology. I have written about Indology in detail and the motivations of British scholars, Western scholars, the motivations of Dravidian nationalists, the motivation of Hindu people were also dangerous. And Muller published books such as Comparative Mythology, followed by other works such as Introduction to the Science of Religion, which was published in 1870, and plethora of others, lectures and fields. Fields such as a comparative study of religion, scientific study of religion, and religiology were also founded. Ernest Renan, Dietrich Wissowa, Survician, James Fraser, Nord and Gunkel, Moore, and Franz Boas also contributed greatly to the study of religion during this period. Indology is particularly still seen to be steeped in 19th century paradigms. They did not adequately, sufficiently, or uh, properly take into account and consideration feedback of Indian scholars and researchers, and it's even therefore referred to as mid 19th century of Indology. It also naturally faces an existential crisis today. When I traveled to Pune, I also spoke with many professors of anthropology department. Anthropology department, social department also are facing the same existential crisis. This has also led to Hindutva counter reactions. Modernizing all these fields will therefore revitalize them and make them compatible and ready for the 21st century. There are many different strands or schools of thought within the anthropological study of religion, and we discuss some of them here. Okay, classification of religions is also extremely important from the point of view of religious studies, and the formal religious studies, not only in Western universities but also elsewhere, study different types of religions and such as prehistorical religions, historical religions, tribal religions, sophisticated religions, contemporary religions, etc. They are also categorized into 16 sub-disciplines, and we also now need synergistic and interdisciplinary approaches. Marxists follow heavily ideology-laden approach because Marxist historiography is deterministic teleological in that it posits state of history at the start of the revolution of the proletariat. They have been writing against Hinduism, and they have been basing the study on Hinduism on obsolete historical models. At the same time, they have been whitewashing Islam and other religions. Therefore, there are three types. First thing is belief that all religions are absolutely equal. This is also false because all religions are not same. Like different sports are different, religions are different, and uh, we also have ideologically different approach. Driven approach is not correct. You also need neutral approaches and factually driven approaches. Approaches driven by fact and factual analysis. That is extremely important. Okay. Therefore, we must not be concerned with theological claims of divinity or history, which is also not correct. This is problematic in some countries like India, where there is study of religion is blighted by myth-infused approaches. Okay, we also need cross-cultural dialogues, which are necessary, which is somewhat lacking. Even Gregory Posel and doesn't collaborate with Indians on a really unbiased approach. We need emic approaches, ethic approaches, and ethnic approaches, which are a combination of emic and ethic. I've written extensively about this. We also need phenomenal approaches like Edmund Husserl, based on earlier work by G.W. Hegel, and the former is considered to be his father, founding father. Okay, we also had people like Ninian Smart and Gerardius van de Leeuw, who extended this approach to the field of religious studies. Therefore, non-ideological approaches are necessary, objective approaches are necessary, and academic Marxism is very dangerous. It is highly one-sided and limited. This assertion has been made by Ramachandra Guha. We have also had hardliner dogmatists such as R.S. Sharma and D.N. Jha also. Suppression of history is not the way. Whitewashing of history is not the way. At the same time, exaggeration, false falsification, like Hindutva people do is also not the way. Promising a counter ideology is not the way. If you want to do away with Hindutva, we need to have uh, absolutely balanced approaches. Okay, and Marxism is a limited approach. It's a one-sided ideology. Marxism is a political philosophy and a method of social economic analysis. It's okay. I've written about Marxist historiography in great level of detail, and it has been subject to a large amount of criticism. Scholars and researchers such as Timothy Fitzgerald, Richard King, Jonathan S. Smith, Tomoko Mazusawa, Talal Assad, Geoffrey A. Oti, and Russell T. McCutcheon have strongly criticized research religious study as it is not subject perspective driven, and they try to impose researchers' perspectives onto the subjects they study. There is rampant charism in social sciences, which is social sciences is compartmentalized into different school of thought. We need methodological coherentism. I have written about that in institutional coherentism, epistemic coherentism, and we need to emphasize service to society over careerism. We also need to have what do you say, transparent, objective. We have founded a movement for objective, transparent, high quality, and ideology free science. Or some of this. Just go through it. Post colonialists also criticize religious driven studies as being agenda driven and possessing a colonial flavor and colonial temperament, which has not been got rid of. Religious studies, there can be some careerism, but as far as possible, it must be subservient and to the doctrine and the principle of service of society. Consequently, they must be, as far as possible, very little uh, to know hanky panky and mischief in peer reviews and evaluation third party ideas. Okay, we also need to have uh, better science as possible only if all the concepts that we have been talking about for the past 20 years or so in several of our multiple publications read here too. We need to have we need to use up-to-date historical models wherever necessary. We need to focus on service of society and making society better, modulating the essence of religion. No nerdism and ivory tower approaches, no rampant careerism, no ethnocentrism, no xenophobia or hatred towards other cultures, cross-cultural research design. Okay, and we have written about these 10 approaches uh, all along, and we need to have complete total, we need to move towards complete total separation of religion and state gradually, and grant human rights to all people, promote universal education, better universal education, grant complete religious freedom, say no to religious inspired draws, try to promote a scientific temper, phase out religious education, allow free media, allow complete freedom of speech, and we move all nations towards democracy and objectivity also. We must gradually try to bring this to fruition. With this, I will actually read all my papers, and religious studies in the West need to have a foundational reboot and complete overhaul, radical overhaul, reorientation. All these old DNJs, hardliner dogmatics like DNJ, Rumila Thapar, R.S. Sharma, all these people must go, and Hinduತ್ವ also must be sidelined, and we need to have objectivity and service. So, okay, this I end my English speech. Thank you very much for giving me a patient hearing. Bye.